Hello folks, DJ here again. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I love the fact that you've come back again, and newcomers feel very welcome. I want to talk to you about what's happening in Western nations. I'm going to concentrate on Britain and England especially because that's where I live and that's where I was born. But it's affecting all Western nations. Western being the industrialised modern democracies. So what of these Western modernised countries, and are we suffering from an all-out attack upon our religious moral base? A moral base that enabled us to grow. Sorry, I've got an itch. It's this warm weather. Brilliant, isn't it? So what is happening? The religious moral base that enabled our democracies to grow, its industrial power and its man-made laws. What's happening to them? What is happening to our industrial power? What's happening to our man-made laws? The attack has been relentless, and the public have sat on their hands at first accepting the calls to a false modernity. We've suffered from political correctness, where common phrases were banned under newly developed laws such as the Equality Act in the UK, and it stopped us calling a black painted chalkboard in the classroom a blackboard. We weren't allowed to call a blackboard anymore. No, that was wrong. That was racist to call a blackboard black. Yes, nonsense. But it was accepted by the British people. We accepted, and America did as well, Canada did, Australia did, New Zealand did. We accepted that to call a board that was painted black, a blackboard, was somehow racist. We also remember the soft tie with curly hair, black face, big lips, and bright white eyes. He was called the gollywog, and it became illegal to call the gollywog a gollywog. Now I want to tell you something, and now this is true. My wife came to Britain as a teenage black girl from Jamaica, from St Thomas in Jamaica. So many of you may know St Thomas in Jamaica. It's part of the wider area of Kingston. And she came in 1964-65, and she fitted in easily. She became a citizen under Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. She learned Spanish and Italian, and we used to go to these countries and teach the overseas students who went to Spain or to Italy. She used to teach them the Spanish or the Italian language, depending on which country she was in, of course. And she set up her own self-employment, travelling to industrial sites in and around Birmingham, England, checking and establishing and auditing accounts books. We had 2 children together, a boy and a girl. She bought them as babies. Yes, you've guessed it, a soft tie. Guess what that soft tie was? It was a gollywog. So this black girl from Jamaica, my wife, she bought her babies, boy and a girl, not at the same time. The boy was born first, then the girl afterwards. She bought them a gollywog. She didn't see it as racist. He was a doll. He was a doll that looked pleasant. It was soft, it was cuddly, and he was funny. She accepted it. She also bought them a blackboard, a small one. It was on an easel, a small one, and a little stool or chair, and they sat on it and they chalked on this blackboard with chalk, and there was white chalks and pink chalks. I forget the other colours, but there were several chalks for the board, and she would chalk on them on the board, and the child would copy. So she's very good at cursive writing. So she would do the cursive words, and the child, my son or my daughter, would copy it on a blackboard with white chalk. Oh, yes. Now, white chalk, you could say white chalk, that wasn't racist, but blackboard, that was, according to the idiots that established this nonsense in the Western industrialised, modernised locales. But the general public, the populace of Britain, accepted this nonsense of political correctness. They opened the doors to accept multiculturalism, the acceptance that all cultures were inherently good and should be viewed as equal, that all religions led to God, to the same God. The Roman Catholic Pope Francis said so. In one of his speeches he said all religions lead to the same God. Two-time USA President Barack Obama told the people after the murder of 3,000 people in the Twin Towers aeroplane smash, that Islam was a peaceful religion, even that Islam meant peace. Big fat lie, Islam means subjugation. Hammer screams at us, death to America, death to the West, death to Israel. Peaceful religion? Well, did we fall for that? What about the decades-long gang rape of our young girls in Britain? And what's not known, said and often mentioned, is that Hindu and Sikh girls were often targeted too, though their known numbers are in fact not known. Raped, and all those in authority with the powers to stop and put an end to bringing these perpetrators to justice, they failed to do so in order to bolster, a political correct agenda. They did not. They knew these rapes was going on. The police knew. The police refused to act. The social services knew. They refused to act. The councils knew. They refused to act. The schools knew. They saw the girls being picked up outside the school gates. They refused to act. Political correctness. It's unbelievable, isn't it? But that's what happened. That is what happened. This had been happening until recently. This politically correct agenda went further. And it went further down the proverbial rabbit hole. Further in the West's demise, as we once knew it, as we once knew the West, with the acceptance that all religions led to the same God, and that all religions were equal. One religious concept was no longer to be propagated in our children's schools. Thus all religions would be taught not in a comprehensive fashion that people could understand, but in the obligatory, cursory manner, thus rendering Christianity the backbone of Western cultural being to be null and void, of non-importance, except that now it had been rendered as such. The new woke culture would use it to instill guilt, instilling compliance within those groups who still held on fast to the teachings of fairness, compassion, and misguided love. The woke brigade began teaching love meant acceptance and forgiveness, acceptance of illegal immigrants, acceptance of the channel crossing boat people, acceptance of Hamas, of their lies, their propaganda. In schools, once bastions of moral teachings, the move was away from Christian values and towards diversity, equity and inclusion. Diversity, equity and inclusion, DEI, which is in reality to lower standards in expectation of rewards for hard work and dedication and replacement, and they replaced it with rewards for agreeing, rewards for accepting, rewards for taking part with little effort. No, little effort more than compliance. The woke strategy is to inflate real numbers to appear that they have the majority of the opinion, to create an atmosphere of fear by shouting down its dissension from their point of view, verbally attacking anyone who is brave enough to speak out by using defamatory remarks, a mocking tone, cancelling speaking engagements and demonstrations against those who are brave enough to speak out. I've witnessed a female student just screaming incoherently in the face of another who was trying to get his point across. Without this moral compass, mankind is lost. No matter how many man-made laws are created and implemented, society finds itself floundering in a mess of its own making, because it is rejecting the inexorable laws that's given us our moral laws, that's given us our laws presented by the Holy Bible. Sorry, but I must go on with this. I know many of you do not believe in the Bible, they do not believe in the real true God, the Creator God, but stay with me. The Ten Commandments are such profound intellect. If followed closely, all our troubles would be over. Seriously. I mean, let's take the one, do not lie. This law includes do not deceive, do not falsify, do not fraud, do not cheat. What about the one, do not murder? It says it all. Do not start wars. Do not lust after another's territory. Doesn't that law lead us on to do not covet other people's properties? Do not covet another person's land. Do not covet another person's partner. Do not covet another's property. The list is endless of what we should not be coveting. Instead, we could be creating our own by our own efforts and within the cooperation of others. Teams, working in a team. Much better than coveting. So do not covet another's partner leads us to do not commit adultery. Adultery is obvious, but is often misapplied when adultery also means do not break a contract. As a contract in marriage, but it's also a contract with our God. It's a business contract. It's a friendship contract. Remember, many contracts are not put down in writing, but by a handshake or just the word. If we maintain the right attitude in our dealings with others, there will be no wars, no murder, no theft, no breach of contract, no coveting, no lust, no lies of deception. I'm going to finish with a thought. The number one spot of the Ten Commandments is you shall have no other gods. We've made a god from other religions, and the failings are now coming home to roost. Rape, murder, theft, illegal immigration, costly government spending on migrant hotels and benefits, a drop in morale, a vast increase in unwanted pregnancies, an unprecedented increase in abortions, knife crime, muggings, lack of respect, curtailment of free speech, a lacking of care for our elderly, food companies knowingly adding additives into our food we buy that are injurious to our health. You know, that list goes on and on and on. And it all started with us being prevented from calling a blackboard. All for now. Comments please. Don't forget, I love to read your comments. Subscribe button. Press that subscribe button. Doesn't cost you a penny, doesn't cost you a cent, doesn't even cost you a rupee. It's totally free. So press the subscribe button, please. It helps me out. And if you like these short pods, this one's less than 15 minutes, press the like button. But there's definitely subscribe button and comments. So until the next one, there'll be another one today. So until the next one, I'm going to say be safe, be good, and goodbye from DJ. Bye.